What is he?
How amazing was it, Chris?
Well, it's more of an immediate feels good, whereas when I get up to work out early in the morning, it doesn't feel great when I get out of bed. But by the time we're done with the workout, I probably feel way better than if I hadn't worked out, you know?
Yeah.
Pardon me. Oh, here we go.
Welcome to the Health Detective Podcast with Roberto Parker. Join strength and conditioning expert Roberto Parker as he shares his over 35 years of experience in training athletes and helping people achieve their fitness goals. Now here's your moderator, Chris Whiting, with Coach Roberto.
Hey, all right, everybody. Welcome once again to the Health Detective Podcast. As Paul said, I am Chris Whiting. I'm your moderator for this program, but I'm not the star of the show. I'm not the guy with the answers. I'm not the guy who has spent his entire career studying these things. That man is here with me, Roberto Parker. How are you, Roberto?
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls?
Yay. All right. So, Roberto, normally we would do this on a Monday night, but I had to move my daughter into school. And then also normally I would have worked out with you on Tuesday morning, early in the morning. That wasn't able to happen this week. You did call me out for sleeping in, though, in the pre-show, so I appreciate that. Thank you. And tonight we're, if I understand, we're going to kind of free flow it. Like I've got some questions for you, different scenarios. I'm going to shoot them at you and we're going to see what you shoot back. So does that sound good?
Sounds great to me.
Okay. Anything that you want to start off with? You ready for me to jump right in?
Well, we're going to kind of just do some hypothetical scenarios tonight. You're going to throw out some scenarios. Maybe a person's overweight. Maybe they're lacking muscle tone. Maybe they want to improve their speed as an athlete. Maybe they're getting up in age and they feel as though that the workouts are just not responding like they used to. Maybe they need just more activity in their life. So just, throw out some hypotheticals to me and see if we can come up with solutions. That's kind of what, the whole premise of the Health Detective Show is all about, is we're going to find out some solutions.
So as you were going through that scenario, I noticed that Paul turned his camera off. I don't know if that was coincidental or...
No, I wanted to make sure people could see the number 913-735-0060.
Good call.
We welcome your participation.
Yeah, we certainly do, folks. If you want to call in, have a question, have a scenario for Roberto, let's do that. And I want to start with one related to what you were talking about. So, I'll personalize it. When I was a younger man, I could work out and still eat what I wanted, and I'd stay in decent shape. It seems now that I am older that same formula isn't working for me in the same way. So as you are an older person where maybe your body doesn't respond as much to workouts, maybe the metabolism's not what it used to be. What are some things you need to be aware of? What do you need to be focusing on when you hit the midlife years and beyond?
Towards the golden years?
Towards those golden years, absolutely.
Well, like we've talked about in past podcasts, you just have to be more conscientious of your eating habits. I think that's where most people fall short. You got to eliminate the processed foods. Keep in mind now the midsection, stomach area, intestinal area is not breaking down and absorbing food as efficient as it used to.
And that's just natural?
That's natural because as we age, I've said this before, our bodies begin to lose HCl, which is an acid within the stomach that helps the digestive process of breaking down foods and also fighting off pathogens. So as we age, that becomes a factor. And when your stomach isn't doing right by you, it can affect a lot of things in the body, your skin, your joints, the amount of collagen. As we age, our body doesn't make as much collagen as it did when we were younger. That's why our skin becomes more wrinkled. But you're not going to really stop those things from happening, but you can sure put a major dent in them and prevent them from prevent the speeding up process by slowing it down. And you're going to do that especially by eating more whole foods, drinking more water, not drinking as much alcohol as you did when you were younger, if you were an alcoholic person.
Oh boy.
You have to really be, like I said, more conscientious of water, more whole foods, activity, not stressing your body as much, because when you're younger, your body can tolerate a little bit more stress. And I've said this before, there's 3 types of stress. There's chemical stress, there's physical stress, and there's emotional stress. Chemical stress goes back to diet. Diet, when you break foods down and process it, that's a biochemical reaction in your body. Physical stress could be lack of movement or too much stress, too much force on the body, like too much heavy weightlifting. Maybe you go out and run 8 miles a day, too much stress on the body. Emotional stress could be going through a bankruptcy, could be going through a divorce, could be I've just lost my job, COVID-19, I've been shut down for 3 months, I have no form of income, my business is on the brinks. So all kinds of things like that. So your body doesn't handle stress quite as well when you become older, because those cells, aging is pretty much this. Aging is cellular turnover and the pace at which your cells are dying off versus the pace in which your cells are regenerating. So as we become older, our cells don't regenerate as fast as they're dying off. Whereas when you're younger, cells are producing more than they die off, which is why you can eat more food. This is why you recover faster when you're injured. It's why you get over illnesses and sicknesses a little better, because your constitution, your immune system is a little bit stronger. So really what it comes down to is your strength of your immune system and your nervous system. And if you don't take care of your body via exercise and dietary habits, you can really slow those particular 2 systems down, thus leading to the more rapid aging process.
So let me ask you this: when it comes to digestion, keeping the gut health clean, like I know you talk about getting away from the processed foods, eating the whole foods. Right. Are there certain supplements that you might look at? Like, I'll tell you why. I was having digestive issues, and my chiropractor said, take a shot of aloe vera juice every day. That will help a little bit with the lining of the stomach. Are there things like that that you think could be helpful?
Oh, yeah. I mean, aloe vera juice is good. If you're having problems with your gut, that more likely means, once again, there's some sort of stress that's causing this. It could be something that's dietary. Maybe you're eating, you might be eating too much red meat. You might be eating too much carbohydrates. That's where we can do some sort of a food assessment on you. But there are some good supplements you can take. Bitter herbs are really good for a bad stomach. Bitter herbs, like dandelion root, or what's that stuff called? I believe it's called astragalus or something like that. But there are certain supplements out there that you can take that have the derivative of herbs and minerals in there that's good for the gut. In fact, ginger is good for the gut. Whenever you have an upset stomach, just taking some ginger tea or just putting a little bit of ginger in some warm water. When I was a kid, whenever I got upset tummy, my mom always had me drink some ginger ale or 7-Up or something like that. Yeah. I don't know if it was 7-Up, but or
and when I was a kid, I preferred Mary Ann, but that was just me.
Hey, can I ask?
Yes.
I have a question. May I?
Yeah,
please.
You've talked a lot about in many of your podcasts about processed foods, and I mean processed foods are everywhere. So, what do you recommend to make it easier for people? Do you meal prep through the week? Do you? I mean, clearly you have to go to a grocery store and dig for the stuff that's not processed, but what's a good habit to get into to make sure that you're not at the last minute grabbing processed food to eat? Does that make sense?
Don't go to the store starving to death. That's one way. Because when you go to the store starving, you tend to buy too much junk. You buy too much food in the first place.
Sense.
You go to a place like Costco, you overdo it, and the food sits around and spoils. You probably heard this before, but when you go to a store, what part of the store have the healthiest foods? You probably know this, Chris.
I'm thinking it's the outside
Right.
of the
Yeah.
store.
It's the perimeter of the store, right? The produce section, the meat section. Typically, you're going to have what else in the perimeter of the section of the store? I mean, um,
A lot of times, I know you're not a big fan. That's where your dairy, your
salad bar. You know,
yeah.
the salad bar, usually the perimeter of the store. You know, but even still, you got to be a little bit careful, Paul, because that's a good question. If you cannot afford organic produce, get the best you can and wash it off. You can get some produce wash, some vegetable wash, and wash it off because organic is more expensive. There's no question about that. But go in the perimeter of the store, start reading labels. Now, a lot of Whole Foods, they don't have labels on them because they're whole. But anything that comes in a can or cellophane or frozen, I always read the label. I want to see what I'm getting. I read the fiber content. If I cannot understand what's on the label, if it takes a PhD in chemistry to understand the ingredients, typically I'm not buying it.
That's a good
Okay?
rule.
But if it says, for example, if you buy some yogurt and it says milk and maybe 1 gram of sugar and some lactobacillus or some bulgaris, which is all those things are different cultures. That's not a bad yogurt to buy. But if you're looking for a yogurt and it has 8 grams of sugar and it has pasteurized this, pasteurized that, pasteurized this, which are all pretty much processed in a way, I'm typically not going to buy it.
But you really kind of have to have a plan when you go to the store to make sure you get the right stuff, right?
Yeah, you should make out a list. I mean, yeah, you have to know what you're buying that's not processed. Avocados, not processed. Oranges, not processed. What else? Chicken, let's say you buy some free-range chicken, not processed. You buy some grass-fed beef, not processed. You buy some frozen fruit. Now, there are organic types of frozen. Now, that's not usually in the perimeter, it's in the frozen section. That's not processed. And for that matter, even non-organic fruit really isn't processed. It's just not grown organically. So you have to really look for those things. And you have to know before you go into the store, you have to have a plan. I don't really meal prep all that much, to be honest with you, because I don't have a family living with me. If I had a family and I was the main person cooking the meals, preparing the meals, I would definitely meal prep. So you have a plan, how much produce, how much meat, how much fish, how much vegetables are we going to need? Are we going to brown bag it for everybody in the family? Are you going to go out to lunch every day? By the way, going out to lunch every day, that can get kind of costly too. Not to mention, there aren't too many places that are really non-processed that you can go have lunch.
Right.
You're just going to go to Whole Foods every day and have lunch. So,
Well, what do you typically like? What'd you have for dinner tonight? What'd you?
I haven't had dinner yet. I haven't had dinner yet.
What are you gonna have?
I'll have maybe a slice of chicken or some roast beef or something, hamburger patty and some spinach, slice of avocado, stir fry some onions and some garlic. And that's typically something. That's pretty much what I have. I don't go and buy processed spam or something like that. I don't go and buy what's that stuff? Hamburger Helper. Right. I don't buy that kind of stuff. So
yeah.
That stuff does not come into the Parker household.
Well, and I will say that one of the benefits of working with you and being part of your Facebook groups and such, you'll put pictures of your meals out there from time to time and tell people what you made and how you made it. And so it gives tips on, okay, that looks like it wouldn't be too hard to prepare. Doesn't take a whole lot. And I will say it always looks good, but you're right. It is typically pretty simple, like a lean protein, vegetables. It is pretty simple, but it always looks tasty to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like I said, that was a good question by Paul, because you have to have some sort of a plan. You just can't walk into the store willy-nilly and just, this looks good. That looks good. This looks good. That looks good, because you're going to end up buying a bunch of shit. Okay.
Right.
So
Hey, all right.
And then eating it like I do.
yeah, so you
Yes.
got to have a plan. Even if you want to make a dessert,
Mm-hmm.
make it from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's what my mother used to do. I mean, my mother used to bake wedding cakes. You know, she
Oh,
did that as a hobby business, but she'd make everything from scratch.
yeah.
She didn't go get box cakes or box pies. She made everything from. She even made her own pie dough from scratch.
Wow.
So, you know, that takes a lot of time to do that kind of stuff. If you have a person in your house who has that kind of patience
Hey,
and is
Paul
willing,
himself is quite the scratch baker.
there you go. So, hey, if you're willing to do that, then knock yourself out, man. There's a lot of good natural food menus and recipes on the internet, cookbooks out there. You know, they even have keto sites. You can make keto meals. You can make paleo meals and that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of things you can do. You can make your own bread. Even there's stuff called paleo bread that I know Hy-Vee used to sell. I don't think they sell anymore. And all it is, it's made with almond flour, a couple of eggs, and I think they put some sort of seasoning in it, and that's it.
Yeah, I think they have something like that at Aldi now.
Yeah, it's it's called paleo bread. It's has like 2 or 3 ingredients in it that you can read. But if you pick up a regular loaf of bread and you try to read the ingredients on it, you got to have like I said, a degree in chemistry to understand the damn thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
the kind of stuff you don't want to buy.
And I've heard, just as a rule of thumb, that generally speaking, the less ingredients in something that you buy, the better.
Yes,
Like
absolutely.
if it's 5 or fewer, that's typically the way to go.
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, if you cannot understand what you're reading, then you're probably going to be putting a lot of chemicals in your body, and that's the
Yeah.
kind of stuff that you want to stay away from. Even certain oils you buy, because certain oils like canola oil. Canola
Mm-hmm.
oil, a lot of people think that's healthy, but it's not really that healthy. The best type of oil are coconut oils. Um, that's olive oil. That's virgin olive oil because it's cold pressed.
Okay.
Anytime it's not cold pressed, that means it's been heated,
Mm.
deodorized, and heated again. So what happens when you do that to foods, it's like a form of pasteurization. You denature the ingredients, the wholesomeness of the foods.
Gotcha.
See, it's like cooking. What happens when you overcook food?
Well, it burns. You get all the carcinogens on there and such.
Right.
Yeah.
Not to mention, you kill all the good nutrients in it
Mm-hmm.
when you overcook it. Some foods need to be cooked a little bit, but you don't need to overcook the crap out of food, because when you do that, you denature the natural ingredients in it.
Okay. And
Give me a
so,
scenario, Chris.
okay. So something related to the earlier scenario about you're getting older, you're working out, you're not responding as well. Let's say you're older, you're working out, you love it, but your joints are really starting to hurt. What can you do to help with joint health as you age, or even at any age if you're just having issues with that?
Well, once again, without getting to a big explanation about eating, a lot of joint pain is related to the health of the bacteria in your stomach. Now, beyond that, in terms of exercise, you're going to have to cut out a lot of the high impact, high heavy loading types of exercises. So if you're doing a lot of jumping drills, or if you're doing a lot of heavy squats or deadlifts, you're going to have to kind of curve that back a little bit, maybe cut back on the volume. You can work in some stability Swiss ball exercises. For example, instead of doing a barbell squat on the shoulders, you put your back against the ball, you're standing up, the ball's between you and the wall, and you have a dumbbell or a plate in your hand, and you squat that way. That way you unload, you deload the joints of the knee and the back. Okay? So if you're having problems with your shoulders, let's say, you probably don't want to do a lot of bench pressing, because that's going to make it worse. So what you can do are maybe things like modified push-ups, where your body's at an angle at 45 degrees, where the feet are down here and the chest, arm area, shoulders are up here. So you can do modified push-ups at an angle. That takes a lot of pressure off the shoulder joints.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you're having any knee problems, you might, like I said, start squatting finding a power rack with some grips in front of it, or even for that matter, I do these when I go out to a field sometimes. I'll grab onto a goalpost, like a football goalpost, and I'll throw all my weight back and I'll squat that way. That way I deload the pressure on my knee and my back area. So you have to find some other way of deloading your joints while you're doing squats. Squats are probably the biggest thing that will give you the most issues if you're having problems with your knees and your back. If you're having problems with your shoulder and your elbows, you should not be doing a lot of heavy military press. What you can do on military press are use dumbbells and turn the hands in like this. That unloads the shoulder joint. It takes a little bit of pressure off at your wrist joint as well.
Oh, wow. Okay. I can just feel the difference. Yeah.
Yeah. Because when you go out like this, you open up that AC joint, and when you're pressing, it loads those joints more, because as you become older also, your joints can develop more laxity in them. They're not as strong as they used to be. The tendons aren't as strong as they used to be, so they become a little bit more relaxed. Sometimes I know with the knee joint, what happens is, and I've got this issue myself a little bit, you get a little bit of osteoarthritis going on down there. You start losing some of that synovial fluid in between your knee joint. So now you got bone on bone rubbing against each other like that, which causes friction within that joint, which can also cause, some nerve impingement. So what you want to do, so you don't have to get an artificial knee one day or an artificial hip one day, is you may have to cut out a lot of the running, because I know a lot of people like to distance run. Cut out a lot of the running, which is not good for the hip and knee area, particularly if you're going for miles and miles. Certainly don't do any hardcore plyometric jumping on boxes, jumping off of boxes like your wife likes to do.
She loves it. Yes.
Yeah. So you're gonna have to kind of, modify that, because as a matter of fact, I've actually trained a few people that have artificial hips and knees, so completely different program for them.
Sure.
In fact, the class that you do in the mornings with me might be a little bit aggressive for somebody with an artificial knee or hip.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So another scenario for you, and I know we're getting a little close on time. I want to leave time at the end for you to tell people how to work with you. But okay, here's the scenario. Let's say hypothetically there's like a nationwide pandemic. You've been at home for months now. You work from home.
This is a hypothetical, right?
Yeah, hypothetical.
Yeah.
You're sitting all the time. You've recently read articles that says sitting is the new smoking. It's so bad for you to sit so much. What are some things you can do in an office setting to bring some activity to your day so that you're not just sitting for 8 hours straight?
Get up every half hour to 60 minutes and do some squats and do some modified push-ups if it doesn't cause a distraction in your office. Get up and move. Get up and move. Get up every 30 minutes. Get up and move.
Gotcha.
In fact, we talked about this. We came over to Paul's house one time to do a show. I have this routine that you can do if you're at your office all day, where you get up every 30 minutes and you do 5 to 10 squats or 5 to 10 modified or regular push-ups. So every half hour you do that. And by the end of your day, you have maybe done 40 to 80 push-ups and 40 to 80 air squats.
And that's going to make it, you're right, that adds up, and that's going to make a difference at the end of a day, but especially if you're consistent and doing that day after day, for sure.
And the thing about doing that, you can do 5 to 10, and it doesn't really tax your body where you're going to get all sweaty and gross like some people are afraid to do at the office, but it's enough to kind of keep the juices flowing. I also recommend, right now I'm sitting on a Swiss ball. You can see me kind of bouncing here a little bit.
Whoa,
okay?
Yeah, look at you go.
I recommend sitting on a ball where you can just kind of move your hips side to side, in and out, moving the hips around, boogalooing with the hips like Chris likes to do. Get that nice swervy motion going, baby. Like vanilla swirl, man. You know what I mean? So anyway, I recommend doing that, where you sit on a ball and you're active and you're moving. It's called active sitting. Don't just sit in a hard, for that matter, a soft, stagnant chair that's totally going to immobilize you in one spot like this.
Yeah.
And just do this all day, because that's going to tighten up your back. It's going to make your posture worse. So you want to be active when you sit. Go forward and backward like this. See, I'm rocking forward and back. Even just doing that works my abdominals. See that?
Oh yeah, I'm doing it.
Rocking, baby.
Chris, do you have an Apple Watch?
I do not have an Apple Watch.
So
Do you-
my Apple Watch will tell me to move around every 30 minutes.
Oh,
Now,
that's great.
I don't get up. I haven't got up and done the squat yet, but I'll add that to my thing. But it does
Paul,
tell
when
me.
we have
It
me,
reminds me.
you don't need an Apple Watch.
Well, it's just another thing to make it easier to remind you. You know, you're working hard. You're thinking about things. Okay, 30 minutes is up. This is the time to do it, and it's nice to have a reminder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good, man.
That's good. And you could even set alarms or whatever. Just look at it's the top of the hour. It's the bottom of the hour. I need to get my vanilla swirl on.
I know we're getting short on time here, but the biggest thing that people need to do is to be active. And that means getting up. If you can move around at least 30 minutes a day, it'll make all the difference in the world in your health.
Wow.
Your health is the denominator in the mathematical equation here. Everything else you put on top of that is the numerator. Okay? I want to lose weight. I want a muscle tone. I want to improve my speed as an athlete. I want to improve my vertical jump. Okay? All those things are numerators. The denominator is your health. And I'd even go further than that. We talked about this before. SMEC. How well am I sleeping? Is my mood in check? Is my energy in check? Is my food cravings in check? And do I have an unhealthy appetite? Because if any of those are out of whack, you're not healthy.
Yeah.
Something is not right.
I always forget the cravings in my SMEC. I want to check my SMEC, but I'm more checking my SME. So I'm going to remember cravings now and start checking my SMEC. Now, this has been a great conversation. Unfortunately, we are at our close, but if people want to take advantage of your knowledge of working with you, and I can vouch that it makes a difference in one's life working with Roberto. You know, Paul's got his Apple Watch. I've got Roberto. I don't know which one's better, but let's say people, wow, my hand looked huge there. Let's say people want to be like me.
Chris, big hands.
Whoa, big gloves. If it doesn't fit, Paul left on that one. How do people get in contact with you, and what's just a high-level overview of the type of stuff you could offer someone?
High-level overview is this. We will do an analysis and assessment. It can be very comprehensive via doing a blood test, a urine stool test, a saliva test, and there are various biomarkers that we can extract from that. Or we can just do a simple sit-down question-answer, which is not quite as comprehensive, but still effective. So the way to contact me is 816-405-7703. Email us rwpsports@yahoo.com. Now, once I find out where you are through the assessments and the evaluations, now we design a program for you. It's not the type of program, I'm not the type of trainer that's just going to say, hey, here's your workout for the day, just throw something out of my rear end, okay? It's going to be based on what I find through talking to you and doing some possible comprehensive biomarker evaluations and assessments.
Yeah.
That's important.
And I will say, if I know you can work, with the magic of technology, you can work with people all over the world. I will say, if you live in the Kansas City area, maybe you're not as motivated with your workouts, maybe you're bored with your workouts. I would wholeheartedly recommend going to Roberto. I go to him 2 to 3 times a week. Never know what I'm going to do when I come in. I always feel great when I leave, but you keep rotating different things, working different parts of the body. And it's fun. It kind of shocks the body with different stuff each time. And I feel great. I mean, I'm getting up there, but I really feel good. And that is in large part due to you. So I would wholly recommend people get in touch with Roberto. And I'd give him your phone number and contact info again too, Roberto.
816-405-7703. Email is rwpsports@yahoo.com. You can also reach me by Facebook. I have a Facebook forum called the Innovative Sports Training Health and Fitness Forum. You can join as a member. You can also friend me on Facebook at Roberto Parker. I'm also on Twitter, but I don't use it very much, but you can still contact me there.
Gotcha. Very good. Okay, folks, if you want to get in contact with Roberto and you haven't, it's your own fault because there's a million ways to reach him. I'll tell you, he's responsive. He'll get back with you. Roberto, thank you once again for another exciting Health Detective podcast, man.
All right, guys. You take care and God bless.
All right, you too. Thanks so much, folks. We'll talk to you next time on the Health Detective.
Thanks for listening to the Health Detective Podcast with Roberto Parker. You can contact Roberto at 816-405-7703 or by email at rwpsports@yahoo.com with any comment or question you may have. Join us next time for the Health Detective Podcast with Roberto Parker. The Health Detective Podcast with Roberto Parker has been a KCTK production, produced by Roberto Parker, Chris Whiting, and Paul Lavoda. All rights reserved. For more information and content, email us at kctkradio@gmail.com.
All right.